game against BTK2. It's probably the chess style of my opponent. Bind, torture, collapse. Oh, collapses with a C. Yeah, doesn't work then. We're gonna try and go for the so-called Kasparov gambit, which occurs after, would have occurred after knight b5, d5. After knight b3, we'll go knight hunting instead. a4, and now we go for d5. Queen d5 to come, and we claim that the knight on b3 is quite vulnerable because of the inclusion of a5, a4. And also the b4 square is looking mighty juicy for knight pieces. Now we just exchange, knight d5 to come. And although the position is quite symmetrical, it seems to me that it's considerably better for black. Knight d2, logical. We go knight c6. And I think we got knight b4. Maybe this has been all wrong. Castles now? I castle, knight c4. Maybe this is just insane. Oh, this is a bad mistake. This is a really, really, really bad mistake, positionally speaking. So knight c4 there was very interesting, attacking a5 twice. So what happens now is that my opponent's knights are in a complete bind. Rook d3 is a threat, immediately winning one of the knights. And the knight in b3 simply has nowhere to go. It's obstructed by my pieces, but mainly by its own. And my opponent gave away the bishop, which was really important in securing a hold over the light squares. And without that hold, my bishop on e6 rules the game, and concretely, it's going to be hard to avoid the loss of a piece. So this is really an instructive mistake by my opponent. So I could go rook d3, win a piece, but I just want to underline how helpless my opponent's position is by not taking the piece for a little bit. g3, yeah, well, I'll just take the piece. Why not? That was the rook d3 was anyway the next logical move in the sequence, and it just so happens that it wins the knight. f4 was the only chance there instead. Now I just collect. fb5, knight e5, protecting f7, and no worries. Bishop g5, we just go f6. Rook e8, knight on d3 is fairly strong, so I don't want to exchange it off for the bishop quite yet. And it's also was obstructing the rook from coming to c1, which I think was an important factor. Rook d3, that's a sack of an exchange, but unfortunately, it's an exchange sack for only one check. Bishop goes back. We go g5. Rook c7, king d8. The bishop cannot protect the rook anymore, so he loses the bishop, and my opponent resigns. Yeah, so I was critical of my opponent's opening play in this game, but I think probably overly critical. And really the only huge mistake my opponent made was bishop takes c6 on move 13, which I think essentially just gave the game away. Yes. Let's see what we've got. We have a challenge from somebody calling themselves Magnus Best One, and all the friends of the program know that I'm a sucker for these silly nicknames, so I'm gonna give Magnus Best One game. I'm gonna go for the Caracan in this game. ED5 comes very soon, so I'm gonna treat my opponent to what I played against Ding in the tour finals quite recently. And my opponent seems very much booked up on theory, playing very fast, although Ding went rook ae1 there in order to organize an attack easier. I think now with without the rook on with f rook to e1, it's easier for me to justify castling quickly because there's less of a chance of an attack happening than on the king side. Change for queen c6 and b5, trying to get that minority attack going. Usually with the Turks, nah, I'm not gonna go there. No jokes on minority attacks, obviously. We go for b5 and then a5. And yeah, my position seems fairly easy to play now. It's all about getting b4 or a4, knight c4 at some point. By the way, if anybody is wondering about the shirt, or yeah, the shirt, it's not actually a shirt, it's a football jersey. Yeah, so you can see that the team is Manchester City, and I'll give you one guess to say guess whose name is on the back. Mind you, this jersey was bought, I think, in 2017 or maybe 2018. Well, so in the game we have my opponent is playing very solidly. I'm trying to claim that I'm a little bit better with a slightly more compact pawn structure, but I think realistically it's not a lot. But I'm still claiming, of course. Always claiming. Now trying to provoke the exchange of bishops, and then I'm going to go knight b5 or knight f5, attacking d4. Knight e5 is very good. Now knight f3 I think will happen, and I go f6, trying to... Oh, rook c6 was missed. That is a major problem. Oof. That is actually a major problem. The point now is that I wanted to go rook b8 and then king f7, but now I don't have time because rook b6 is a major threat once I protect the pawn. So now I really don't know what to do. Really don't know. Yeah, I think I just have to go for something very drawish here. So if I go in king f7, rook b6 would have happened, and I would have had no good square for the knight. This is not a good move, king g3, because the knight c3. That's an important mistake. My opponent should have played rook b6 there, pinning the rook. I would have gone rook b3, threatening to unpin with knight d4. And I'm still claiming, no, knight d2 would happen. So it's an equal position there. Otherwise, I could have claimed a small advantage. But now with the knight coming to e4, possibly even e2, I am quite a lot better. Knight g1 doesn't seem to help. I go knight e4 and I win the pawn with rook takes f2, next move. And then I have a huge advantage, which I think in practice is going to be enough to win. We go g5, improving the pawn structure slightly. He's attacking my king, making it run up the board, which I don't mind at all. No, I was wrong. I have to go back. Now rook d8, I go knight c3. He attacks the knight again. I go knight d1, intending knight e3. Rook d8, now knight e3. Did not see my threat. Now my Magnus best opponent is going to be in a lot of trouble. Knight e1, rook e2. Now it's time to collect. Knight e6 is not really a problem. That is one check only on g7. Well, one more check, then I take the knight. And that's game over. So very solid game from my opponent. Kept it up for a while, and then it was only one blunder, I think, with knight with king g3 there, which allowed knight c3, which made all the difference. Okay, I don't know if people are actually guessing this, but I will, just for fun, I will show the the jersey to the camera at the end of the session, but not quite yet. Okay, let me try and find a very high rated opponent. Preferably somebody whom I've not played before. Oh, a lot of challenges to go through. Was meant to write, but there really are. Okay, how about this one? Friend of the program, Pepe Cuenca, whom I did beat in our Banter Blitz Cup match earlier this year. Feels like an eternity ago. Let's go, Pepe. Vamos. Oh, there we go. He's here. Let's face him with a Sicilian. Probably not the wisest choice, but who cares, right? H3 will go B5, showing little to no care. Bishop B7 and G6. I think this is not considered to be great, but then again, who cares? Knight FD7, I suppose. Bishop G7 was running into E5. At least I'm making him think. A4 is very logical. I think I have to chop that one off. Knight A4 and then Bishop G7. If I can just continue or finish my development here, as I think I more or less have, then my position will be quite sound. There is a weakness on A6, but I don't think it's too terrible. And besides that, could be imagined that G4 is more a weakness than a strength here. I think we'll go Rook B8, attacking B2 while we have the chance. Yeah, I was hoping he wouldn't dare to take an A6, and he hasn't, so good for me. We'll take and then take on B2, I think. It seems to me my position is somewhat better now. This one. Oh, he's laying a nasty trap. Let's say Queen C8, then he would go Rook takes C6, Queen C6, Knight D5 with a double attack. Knight takes E7 mate and also threatening my queen, Rook on on b2, and I don't think both of those can be defended against. So I need to thread a bit carefully. And I think we'll do that by going bishop b7 back. Rook a7. We'll go knight c5. I think now I should be in the driver's seat. There's knight d5 now attacking the rook, but I think I'll just take on c2 with the rook. Everything's protected and it looks fine. Yes. We'll take that one. Knight b4 attacks the rook, which leaves it a bit short of squares, but would have had knight e6, then rook returning to c7, protecting everything. Now after this move, e5, it's logical, of course, opening up. I think we take it. We chop off the knight, which could be dangerous. And then we chop off some more. We go e6. And I think here I have a considerable positional advantage as well as an extra pawn. So I should be able to win this, at least in practice. And now we have a little tactic. Rook e4. I didn't see rook d1 though. It was a bit unfortunate, but in general, I should win. Speaking of little tactics, I think knight h3 works. King g2, there's rook f4. King g3, we go rook f6 back. Saving the knight. Knight f2, there's rook d2, so we need to be a bit careful. So we go knight f4 instead. Bishop f3, h6, and everything's protected. Now it should be plain sailing. Knight g6, regrouping. Now we bring the other rook, rook b3 with decisive threats. And that's game over. Okay. Good. I think a fairly decent game there. No atrocious blunders and fairly reasonable strategy. We go for another fancy opponent from Italy. We got 1d4. Okay, let's see. Go for the delayed Slav. Go for the a6 variation. What you're supposed to do against knight bd2? The answer is, I don't know. Bishop b2 seems a bit soft. I'll go e6, knight h4. I thought was the point there. Now, yeah, this is still not stupid for white, but at least I'm getting bishop e4 here, and I'm not sure if the bishop belongs in e2 in these lines. I think it would be more active and probably also better placed than on d3. Now, opening the h file, my opponent has to be a bit careful of some bishop d6 coming. Okay, I see the point is knight f3 after bishop d6. So then we'll go c5 instead. Might seem a bit weird opening up the position while my king is still in the center, but I think it's not really a problem. Knight b3 is tricky. Knight f3 seemed more logical because of the knight seems more active, but I think my opponent didn't want to allow cd5, cd4, queen d4, then bishop c5 attacking the queen, though g7 may have been hanging there. But my opponent feels that denying the c5 square for the bishop is very important. And in general, this was all not completely necessary, but I still should be fine here. Guess now e4 is fairly logical. dc5 as well, of course. Bishop f3, I think, coming. Yes, bishop e7, we just developed. And we're trying to claim that the white bishop pair is not that useful in that because he has a weakness on e3, and also the bishop on c1 does not look great at the moment. e4 is not good here for white because knight b4 comes, and my pieces will be really active. Also, I think b3 is not a great move. Bishop f6. Bishop cannot be developed to b2 or a3 because the pawn on e3 is hanging, and taking on d5 first would be a major positional concession. So my opponent instead goes for rook to e1. But this all seems quite dubious to me. Knight b4. How about that? Knight coming to d3 very soon. Bishop b7 would have been possible, but I don't think it was very good. Let me see. Are there really no tactics here? Okay, we'll go queen b6. Don't want to exchange quite yet. Okay, so if rook, well, I thought maybe he'll go bishop c3 there, but then at least I had knight a4. Now rook fd8, the point is bishop a1. Knight f4, e4. Do I have any good knight moves? Probably not, so I'll just take the bishop, although that is a little bit sad, considering that that was not a great bishop. My opponent is fighting well, somehow. I feel like I should have gotten more out of this, but I still have some advantage. And my opponent is thinking, which is a good thing. G4, we go G5. We're happy to see that. We go G6, preparing E5, possibly. Rook C2, I think we can take an E3. Oh, maybe I could not. I got tricked. Rook D4, there's Queen D4. Damn it. And we have to play fast. Really fast. It's disconnecting. That's no good. Oh my god. Is this the way I'm gonna win? I mean, my position is still good after BC, bishop D4, and so on. Yeah, that was unfortunate. Really unfortunate. I think I would have won the game, but it would have been a close fight. Okay, people, I'm tired as usual, so I'm gonna give it 2 more games and then I'm gonna go. Okay, so we got an opponent from Turkey, another picture of me, although I didn't notice that in time, so that was not a factor. We got another Slav, which seems to be the opening of the day. Bishop G4. This is not great for black, I think. And it's quite well known that Bishop F5 is a weak move because of exactly this move order, and because of the trick knight Queen B7, sorry, Queen B3, Knight F6 check, white wins a pawn. and pretty healthy extra pawn at that. Knight f6 I think is not great. So I get bishop b5 check, and I develop with tempo, which is a good thing most of the time. Bishop d7 is forced. I take it. I castle, and I'm an extra pawn. I have an extra pawn. What's not to like? Let's just go bishop d2, or maybe knight e5. Knight e5, bishop d6, queen a4, king e7. Not convinced. Maybe we'll go queen a4 immediately. My opponent can exchange with queen c6, but that's okay. We'll play an endgame a pawn up. It's quite all right. Knight d7, we go knight e5. Rook ac1. We just keep developing. Just a sec. Had to give out my card for some food delivery. That's the way it is. Women and food, eating up all my money. Meanwhile, speaking of eating, I'm trying to eat some of his pieces here, but it's not that easy. I guess we just have to be patient. Return with bishop d2, and in case of castles, we got knight c6. And now I'm threatening the rook on d8, and if the rook moves, there's bishop b4 with a nice little skewer. Wow, skewer. Speaking of food. Yeah, rook fe8, but I don't think that helps. I could have taken the exchange on d8, but bishop b4 seems even better. And now my opponent is in a lot of trouble. We got a fork, so my opponent has to give up even more material. I guess we'll go e4. Can't take it because of the knight hanging on d7, so queen b7 is forced. Well, took the knight anyway. There we go. Wow, she rewrote the code to my card, even though she uses it all the time. That's a shame. Okay, people. Last game. of the day. Let's make it a good one. Let's make it a good one. Let's find ourselves a Grandmaster. Where have all the Grandmasters gone? I thought I saw some earlier, but I cannot find the challenges now. Leafing through. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Naroditsky, after the finals yesterday, we got ourselves a rematch. Last game of the day for all the marbles in the world. We're gonna play a nice, slow Italian. And this is something Duda did against me, just transferring the knight before everything. Should I have gone bishop b3? I should have gone bishop b3. Not to allow this. That was a bit silly. We'll take it. We go d4. And we'll see. Now, I guess we go h3. And then bishop e3. After having prevented knight to g4. Queen g6, I'm happy to meet with knight h4. And d5, then I go e5, and then think. I think in principle, I'm not too opposed to the exchange on g3. After fg3, I do have a double pawn, but I do also have some possibilities of attacking with g4 there later on, and some better king safety. So now I think I go queen g4. He may have made a mistake here. He may have made a mistake. Thing is, I'm threatening to take on e6, and also knight g6 is a serious positional idea here. I think probably he needed to go. He needed just to go for something else there. Maybe to go king f7. Strange as it looks. Now I think I'm doing just great. I'll even just take on c6. And I have so much positional compensation for the exchange. Think maybe even b4. Maybe that's trying to be too clever, but I want to try and be too clever. Just shutting the bishop on a7 out of the game. Also, the queen on h7 is a sorry sight at the moment. Rook f5 is a good is a good try though. I didn't see that. Did not see that. Okay, we shamefully retreat the knight. Still, I think with very good compensation. And then queen to e2. Now I have to look out for the threat, which is bishop takes d4. So we go queen c4. Now I have to play faster. King h2. Soon we're going to be collecting. g3. Now we start. Go back. That's an annoying move. Let's take the pawn. We attack this one. Now I certainly have a winning position. And the question is, can I convert it in time? I'm hoping, of course, the answer will be yes. And I think it will be as well. a5 now. I'm going to win a piece and have a very safe position. King f2 next. f7 take. And he mouse slipped there. He's going to take on b4. But I have more than enough time. Okay, people. That's gonna be it. Good games, people. Good session. And last but not least, for the jersey reveal. Let me just turn the jersey around. You all know it had to be, right? There we go. Okay, make it happen, people. Make it happen. I've been waiting for this for so many years. Of course, I love Madrid, but I really want Messi as a captain of my fantasy football team. Okay, people. See you later.